Hi everyone, so I'm going to be doing a new sort of stream of videos called Beauty in the Borderline, which is just going to explore sort of parts of borderline personality disorder, talk through a lot of the symptoms, a lot of the way that I deal with it, the way, not very well at the moment, but the black and white thinking, dissociation, abandonment, all of these things that happen with borderline personality disorder, and also the link with it and eating disorders. And then I'm also going to be sort of doing videos on my sort of documenting my journey to recovery, because I really now want to start being positive and get out of this crisis, this darkness, and start seeing the light, start actually trying my best to recover from this, because I really, really, really want to be well, and I really don't want to ever be in a crisis like this again, and it's going to happen. As my friend said to me today, I'm in a winter of my life, and there will be a spring, and there will be a summer, but there also will be an autumn, and there will be a winter again. So it's about realising that, yeah, you're going to go through difficult times. It's how we learn to deal with them difficult times and stop us from getting to crisis. So why does BPD have a strong association with suicide attempts? Why do a lot of people with BPD try and attempt suicide? Quite often, usually, or self-harm in such ways. It's actually got a very high mortality rate. So yeah, it's a deadly illness. Alongside eating disorders, it's one of the deadliest of the mental health illnesses. And that's because it has a strong association with suicide. And that's because often with borderline personality disorder, you have this black and white thinking. So things are always, well, often all good or all bad. I'm either suicidal to the point that I will attempt suicide or have suicidal thoughts or self-harm, or everything is absolutely wonderful and I couldn't be happier. I'm one of the most positive, happiest people around. And it's this sort of the overwhelming feelings that come with BPD. So I always say that I have feelings that are so big for me. They're too big for my body. They're so big that I can't digest them, I can't make sense of them, I can't begin to contemplate them or put them in a logical order, or make sense of them. They're just so overwhelming and so big that I sincerely do not know what to do with them, and the only thing in that moment when they get, it's like a tsunami, and I know that the destruction is going to come, and this tsunami of emotion leads to me often, well, in this case, making a suicide attempt because I couldn't deal with that particular emotion. And that's often why people can think that people with BPD, it's a very stigmatised illness, that people are dramatic or attention seeking, because the smallest thing, or even not the smallest thing, something like a breakup, which every normal person, every everyday person can learn to deal with and be upset and be very frustrated and angry and have all them horrible emotions that come with a breakup. With a BPD person, that's too much. Them emotions are so over the top, so big for that person that it does lead to suicidal feelings, because they just want, I just want, for my instances, the emotions to stop, the scale of that emotion to just stop. And that's often what has led to my suicide attempts, is that I just cannot deal with the severity of that emotion, of whatever it's small incidental thing that has triggered my BPD off. It could be something like a breakup, or it could be something that a comment that's thrown at me, or the fact that I'm one day didn't do very well at my job, or I'm unable to do the smallest things, or anything. It could be something really, really minuscule, just a look that is thrown at me on the train, or something quite serious. And for me, literally, when I was in that moment where the feelings were welling up inside of me and I felt like I couldn't breathe because the feelings were swimming in my lungs and taking up all the possible space within my body, that I could no longer function physically and mentally, that the only way out for me was to make them feelings stop. It was like having someone screaming in my head, and the only way I could think to make that noise stop was to just remove myself entirely from the world. I was frustrated of having these symptoms. But that doesn't mean to say that them feelings of suicides aren't real. They're very, very real. They are, them feelings, whether it's legitimate what the person's feeling or not, they're real. Them emotions are real. Whether someone from the outside world, this normal person that we talk about, even if that person cannot understand and fathom why someone is feeling something so strongly due to X, Y, and Z, that doesn't mean they're not real. They're so real, and to that person, they're everything. It's just impossible to be able to explain how real that emotion is, how real and devastating that situation, wherever it is. But it's about, there is a way of making yourself able to cope with them emotions, making yourself able to respond and react to them emotions in a different way, which isn't so harmful, that isn't so dangerous, and that isn't so destructive and self-sabotaging as having suicidal thoughts. It's a really horrible illness, and I must admit that when I went and took my overdose, I wanted to be free from it. But by dying, we're not being free to it, we're giving it the pleasure of succeeding. And I'm lucky enough to have another chance to be able to look it in the eye and say, actually, no, you know what, I want to beat you. And there are some amazing people out there, and BPD has some amazing things that it can bring to you, which is what my next video is going to be about, which is all the wonderful things that actually being a BPD sufferer can give you. Because if you feel a lot, you may feel a lot of the bad things, but you feel a lot of the amazing, wonderful, good things in this world. And that's beautiful, and I wouldn't change myself for that. So I hope that's given a little bit of light on everything, and stay tuned for another video soon. All right, bye.